Hey y'all, welcome back to our very bookish channel. One of the things that I've wanted to do for 2025 is read down my physical TBR. Since I've started my YouTube journey with Jen here on this channel, I have accumulated an obscene amount of books that I have just not read. And my problem is I buy them because I want to read them some point in time and just have not got around to reading them. So I thought in this video it would be fun to go over all of the physical books on our TBRs.
Hey guys, we are doing a book haul, but mine's going to be a mixture of a few different things for a book haul. It's not just a bunch of books that I have purchased. I have several that I have purchased, and then I have a few ARCs that I've gotten. And I was at the library today because we are doing our most anticipated TBR jar read, and I decided for my pick that I was going to go to the library. I haven't been to the library in a while. It's been a few months just because I've mostly been reading ARCs, and some of the books I've been reading I think have just been purchases, but I would say a majority of what I've been reading have been ARCs. To kick it off, I wanted to show just the book that I got at the library when I was there. I just happened to see it. It caught my attention. I saw the spine and I was like, ooh, what's that? And this one is called In Her Bones by Kate Moretti. I have not heard of Kate Moretti, but it looked like a good thriller. And of course, I am very much a thriller fan. I don't know when this one came out. I don't remember seeing it or hearing about it. I'm trying to get to the copyright page to see. So 2018, it's not a new book. And this one is about Lilith Wade. 15 years ago, she was arrested for the brutal murder of 6 women. After a death row conviction, media frenzy, and the release of an unauthorized biography, her 30-year-old daughter, Edie Beckett, is just trying to survive out of the spotlight. She's a recovering alcoholic with a dead-end city job and an unhealthy codependent relationship with her brother. Edie also has a disturbing secret, a growing obsession with the families of Lilith's victims. She's desperate to see how they've managed or failed to move on. While her escalating fixation is a problem, she's careful to keep her distance. That is until she crosses a line and a man is found murdered. Edie quickly becomes the prime suspect, and with the detective who arrested her mother hot on her trail, she goes into hiding. She must get to the truth of what happened that night before the police or the real killer find her. Unless, of course, she has more in common with her mother than she's willing to admit. Makes it almost sound like an unreliable narrator, that there's something going on, but that seemed like a very interesting premise. I haven't read anything like that. So that's one of the books that I have accumulated into the new books that I am new to me, books that I will be reading. And I just keep adding to the never-ending TBR because, as you can see in the background, a majority of the books behind me have not been read yet by me. Some of them have been, but I would say a majority of what's behind me I have yet to read.
Okay, so I have several piles of books. I have one here, I have one behind this one, I have books on these shelves, and I'm gonna go through all of them. I'm gonna read the synopsis on the back. I'm gonna summarize what I got from the synopsis. I'm gonna give you what I think. I'm gonna rate it and why I want to read the book. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, y'all. I'm just kidding. That would be way too long. I wouldn't do that to y'all, okay? I'm just joking. But I do want to just kind of share with you some of the books that I have really quickly, just go through them and let me know which ones y'all think I need to put as a priority, because I'm really trying to be more mindful with buying books in the future. I've only been buying books lately that I have read and loved. Like, I borrow from the library, or I get the ARC and I wait till the release day and buy the book. Or it's part of a series that I've already started and I know that I love, so I need to finish the series. Or it's a book that I need for a vlog that Jen or I want to do on this channel. So I've been trying to be more mindful and not just buying books. I don't even know where to start. Where are we starting? Okay, so I do have a trilogy and a duology that go together that I need to read, and that is the Shadow and Bone trilogy and the Gearshaverse Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom duology. So I need to read these books. These are still in their plastic. I have not even opened them.
So 3 arcs I have gotten recently. There is one called The Sirens by Amelia Hart. This one comes out in March. She wrote, I didn't read, Wayward, which was, I think it was on the Goodreads list for one of the best horror or fiction. This one is a spellbinding new novel about sisters separated by centuries, bound together by the sea. In 2019, Lucy awakens in the middle of the night with her hands around her ex-lover's throat. Horrified, she flees to her older sister's house on the Australian coast, hoping Jess can help explain the vivid dreams that preceded the attack, but she is nowhere to be found. And then in 1800, twin sisters Mary and Eliza are torn from their home in Ireland and forced onto a convict ship bound for Australia. Since their mother's drowning when they were girls, they've feared the ocean. But as the boat bears them further and further from all they know, they feel the water calling to them. As Lucy waits for Jess's return, strange rumors surrounding her sister's small town start to emerge. Men have disappeared at sea, a baby was found in a cave, and all the while, sailors tell of hearing women's voices on the waves. So that one sounded really interesting. I got that one. And one that I just got yesterday is called Retreat by Kristen Ritter. And this one I think comes out in March as well. Yeah, March. This one's about Liz Dawson, weaves through a crowd with the ease of a tropical breeze, moving seamlessly through elite circles. She's clever, smooth, and confident, qualities that make her a brilliant serial con artist. Isabel Beresford is strikingly beautiful, obscenely wealthy, and the new owner of Casa Esmeralda, a fabulous villa on the Mexican coast. Attributes that make her the perfect mark. When she offers Liz a job handling the installation of a piece of art in her otherwise vacant home, Liz can't resist the allure of a beach retreat and escape from the conning game. But when Liz is mistaken for Isabel herself, she can't help slipping into the socialite's identity. The transition is effortless like fate. But just who is Isabella Beresford really, and why does she seem to have abandoned this stunning life of hers? That one sounded really interesting and different. So another arc that I got. And then this is by an author that I read last year. It was called The Secret Book of Flora Lee. I remember it might have been 2 years ago at this point almost. I think it was summer of 2023, but it was in a month that I remember I was having a hard time really reading, and it had nothing to do with that book because I remember really liking that book. But this one is called The Story She Left Behind. The author's name is Patty Callahan Henry. It's a historical novel, and it's filled with mothers and daughters and gorgeous wish you were here there settings. And it has a fascinating mystery at the heart of it all. In the 1920s, a famous author disappears off the coast of South Carolina, abandoning her husband and young daughter, but leaving behind the novel the world's been waiting for. The only trouble is it's written in a secret language and only she has the key. Many years later, in the 1950s, the author's young daughter is grown with a child of her own when she receives a call from a man in London saying he's found a satchel in his father's library with a note that states it can only be given to her in person. So Clara and her daughter embark on a quest to England, and what they will learn there will completely upend their lives. And it goes over 3 generations of women. So that one sounded really interesting and definitely got my interest. I am very eager to read that one.
I have Suicide House, Charlie Donnelly, one of my favorite mystery authors. The Nesting by C.J. Cook, never read this author. I have Strange the Dreamer and Muse of Nightmares duology. That's a young adult duology. I have the whole Throne of Glass series. I don't have the prequel or the first book of the series in this pile because I've already read them, but I do need to get to all of the rest of the series. And staying with Sarah J. Maas, I have the first 2 books of Crescent City. These are special editions at Barnes & Noble, and they're really pretty covers. So I really like Sarah J. Maas, so I have these books. I have the first 4 books of The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan. Epic fantasy novels. I have not read yet. They were at half price books in super good condition, so I had to get them. I have Salem's Lot by Stephen King. I'm really not a Stephen King fan. His books are hit or miss with me, but Jay Kristoff said that his favorite, hands down, without a doubt, not even questioning, favorite Stephen King book was Salem's Lot, so I have it.
Did get a package, and I am fairly certain this is an ARC as well, so I figured I would just save it for this video and open it. I think it's one that me and Amanda both got. Oh, this is not what I was expecting, and this is really cool. I'm not sure. Yeah, I did sign up through Shelf Awareness, and this one is This Book Will Bury Me by Ashley Winstead. I read her other book. We read her other book, I should say, for our first vlog, and I'm forgetting the name of it, and it's not on the front. It was The Last Housewife. So I hope Amanda got this one too. Maybe she signed up on Shelf Awareness as well. But this is the author we did for our first official vlog back in March, I want to say, of 2023. And so this is her newest arc, called This Book Will Bury Me. And this one is after the unexpected death of her father. College student Jane Sharp longs for a distraction from her grief. She becomes obsessed with the morbid world of true crime, befriending armchair detectives who teach her how to hunt killers from afar. In the dark internet underground, Jane finds friendship, purpose, and even glory. So when the shocking deaths of 3 college girls in Delphine, Idaho capture the world's imagination, Jane and her friends are determined to beat everyone racing to solve the case. But the murders turn out to be stranger than anyone expected. Details don't add up, the police are cagey, and there seems to be more media hype and internet theorizing from actual evidence. When Jane and her sleuths get closer, every answer only begs new questions. They begin to suspect their killer may be smarter and more prolific than any they've faced before. Placing themselves in the center of the story starts to feel more and more like walking into a trap. This one sounds interesting, and I wonder if she purposely chose Idaho because of the murders that happened there a couple years ago. It was college students, and I believe there were 4 who were murdered and 2 survived. That trial, I believe, is still in motion, and they do have someone who was arrested for it. I have to see if it says what inspired this book. But that is really cool that that's what was in the package. I so thought it was another book that both me and Amanda were told we were getting, and I'm forgetting the title right now, but I'm gonna have to text and see if she got this today too.
I have Kingsbane. This is a series that I want to read. I found it bargain priced for $4, so I figured I might as well get it while I saw it, but I have not read it yet. Feast of Bones, I checked this book out from the library and read like the first chapter, but had to return the library book before I could finish the rest of the book. So when I saw this at half price books, I had to snag it. The Autumn Republic by Brian McClellan. The Escape Room by Megan Golden. Really liked some of her other mystery books I read, so I had to grab that one. Bentley Little is a horror author I have not read yet, but I do own The Disappearance by him. The Stolen Heir by Holly Black. Again, Holly Black is a young adult author that I have read and loved, but have not started this series.
Moving on to 4 books that I purchased within the past month, I want to say it is. And at the top is one called Ultra 85. And this sounds kind of science fiction / mystery, I would say. I don't know. It does seem like it's multi-genre. This one says, in the year 2115, when Earth is no longer inhabitable, the remainder of humanity lives in Babel, a giant space station. 2 pilots, Quentin and Kai, must find the planet Paradise, where only the most promising citizens are allowed to live. On the journey, they encounter Quentin's estranged father who left Babel for Paradise when Quentin was a child, and discover just how different Paradise is from what they imagined and how they must change it for the better. it just seemed interesting and different from some of the other things that I've been reading. And I always like to switch it up because it ends up feeling stale if you're reading any one specific genre again and again and again. I know there are people out there that could do it, but I like to switch it up and keep things interesting. So that one I definitely want to read soon. Last year I did a vlog. I want to say it was a secret vlog where I read Jennifer Hillier's, I'm forgetting the title, I can put it on the screen, and it felt like very much a summer book. I want to say it was called Wonderland. I hope I'm correct. But I have read a couple of her other books too, and she re-released this one. It's called The Butcher, and it seems like it's going to be kind of horror, but also mystery thriller. I really love her story. She's an author I gravitate back to a lot. I saw this reprint. I haven't read it yet, and I wanted to read it. She also has one called Jar of Hearts that I want to read that I haven't read yet either. And this one's 30 years ago, Police Chief Edward Shank killed the most notorious serial killer in Seattle's history, the Beacon Hill Butcher. Now 80 years old and retired, he's given his high-maintenance Victorian home to his grandson Matt and settled into a quiet life in the nearby Sweet Bay Village retirement residence. While renovating, Matt discovers a crate buried in the backyard that holds a secret so terrible it threatens to ruin all their lives if it ever gets out, especially that of Sam, his girlfriend, whose mother was killed when she was only 2 years old. Matt struggles with his dark family secret as Sam's obsession with solving her mother's murder grows. A true crime writer now working on a book about the Beacon Hill Butcher, Sam has always suspected her mother was one of his victims, even though she was murdered 2 years after the butcher was killed. But then new victims begin to turn up, and the more she digs into the old murders, the more dangerous it gets. Turns out the truth is closer to home than she could have ever imagined. So I really want to read this one too. There's way too many books that I want to read. I know I say that a lot, but seriously, there's just too many that look so good.
Whew. All right, guys, moving on to the next pile over here. I feel like I got a little bit of space now. So I do have the River Enchanted duology by Rebecca Ross, The Night House by Joe Nesbo, another author that I love and adore. The Witcher, I know this is a Netflix series. I've seen some of it, but I've really been wanting to get into the books. Blood Song by Anthony Ryan. This book was $2 at a Goodwill. It's almost in perfect condition, and the ratings on Goodreads for this book is insane. First book in Aurora Rising series by Jay Kristoff. The second book in the Dark Tower series by Stephen King. I have read the first book and liked it, so I'm going to move on to the second book. The Fury of Gods by John Gwynne. Read the first book, halfway through the second book. Loving the trilogy so far. Had to get the third book. Darkly by Marissa Pessel. The Night Ends with Fire by KX Song. Firebird. This is an arc that I cannot wait to get to. I'm hoping to get to that this month.
This one I was on the fence of buying. I feel like I left it out of our most anticipated because I really wasn't sure I wanted to read this. I have not read Haruki Murakami, and I've wanted to. I'm a big fiction fan. I love literary fiction, general fiction, as much as mystery thriller. And I've been gravitating towards his books, but I don't know, something always makes me end up pausing and putting it down because it seems like it might be too literary, I guess is the only way to say it. But this one I kept gravitating towards, and I ended up just buying it thinking, okay, I'm just want to buy it and possibly I'll read it. And it's about a nameless young couple, a boy and a girl, teenagers in love. One day the girl tells the boy about a mysterious town surrounded by a high wall. In that town, the girl tells him her real self resides, and if the boy can manage to come along, she might not recognize him, but he would find his own place. He could be a dream reader each night reading old dreams. He isn't sure if he should believe her, but then one day she disappears and her absence haunts him for the rest of his life. And then he goes in search of her. So I feel like it's one of those that's almost, what's the term? I'm forgetting the term. Magical realism, I think, is what I'm thinking of. It feels like it's bordering on that. And I thought the cover was really cool too. So I have that on my list. I don't know when and if I'm going to read it, but it was a recent purchase that I impulsively bought.
Fear the Flames, another great dragon book that I have heard good things about but have not got to. When the Moon Hatched by Sarah Parker. The Blood of Kings. Ooh. This is actually an arc that I received and have not read yet, but this book is out. A Fire in the Sky. This is a library book that I have borrowed that I want to read for January Dragon Month. The Last One by Rachel Housel Hall. I have read the first couple of chapters of this book and have really enjoyed it, so I'm excited to get back into that one. The Wren and the Holly Library. Beauty and the Beast is my favorite Disney movie, and this is a retelling of that. Air by Saba Tahir. I have heard fantastic things about this author and this series, and to be honest with y'all, I was really drawn to this Walmart edition for the pink and the purple cover. The Half King by Melissa Landers. The God of Endings. This is a really old book. This is an arc that I received years and years ago. I have not read it yet, but it is a vampire book that I need to get to. The Passage by Justin Cronin. Another horror book that I have not gotten to, but I have heard this book is super creepy.
And then lastly is actually nonfiction. I feel I have said in at least one video that I have watched a lot of like 2020 episodes and true crime episodes like Dateline, and I get sucked into some of those real stories of either murder or someone trying to solve a murder or kidnapping, all those kinds of things. I feel like there's something about the investigative nature of those, of wanting to solve things or figure it out, that is what I'm drawn to. And there was I want to say it was 2020 episode, and it was about a mother. Her name was Ruby Frankie. The whole story with her is she was like on YouTube. She had this whole like, I have a ideal family and presenting like the perfect family and everything that she is doing with her kids. But then it came out that she was actually treating them horribly and basically abusing them. And her oldest daughter, Sherry, because Ruby Frankie ended up getting arrested she had left her kids alone. She was starving her kids. There's so many details to this. I can't even get into it, but it's just released. And the oldest daughter tells her side of the story of what really went on in Ruby Frankie's home. So I really wanted to read this memoir, and it reminded me of the 2020 episodes and the Dateline episodes, and I thought this would be an interesting read to see what she went through and how she overcame everything, because she was elated when her mother finally got arrested, and I believe she's in jail for a very long time. So those are all of the mixture of new books that I have on tap between library arcs and purchasing books that we have for our book haul. I hope you enjoyed seeing all these new books, and if there's anything that you have read or want to read, let us know in the comments. I don't know how many Amanda has. I don't think she did too much of a big haul either, but I'm excited to see what other new books she has been either purchasing or if there are arcs she hasn't told me about that she got too. Thanks for watching, and until next time.